Hi everyone. So the story that we are going to do today is the friendly mongoose. Mongoose is an animal about whom you must have heard because it's a very common animal, and this story that we are going to do today is, I really expect that you must have heard of it somewhere, but if not, then today it is going to be an interesting session for all of you. So what's the theme of this story? Friendly Mongoose is like, look before you leap. That means just think before you do any action. It means that you need to think twice or thrice or maybe even multiple times if you think that, okay, I have to take this action. So don't take any action in haste, or might be when you are angry, or might be when you are very happy. So we need to take the decisions only once we have thought that, is this decision viable enough for me to take? The smart thinking is vital because it will help you avoid various problems and also reduce the responsibility of facing complex problems, because we have already thought of the repercussions that could happen once I have taken that decision. So that means ultimately the number of challenges that I can or I could have faced are automatically reduced. So now let's begin the story. Once a farmer and his wife lived in a village with their small son. So that's how almost all the stories start, that this is the place and these are the people. They loved him very much. We must have a pet, the farmer said to his wife one day. When our son grows up, he will need a companion. So now they were not planning to have any other child. So that is why they thought that let's get a pet. Like, in your home, you must be having a pet parrot or a pet dog or sometimes a pet cat. Similarly, they also thought that let's get someone who can be companion for him when he grows up. This pet will be our son's companion. His wife liked the idea. One evening, the farmer bought with him a tiny mongoose. So initially, if I talk about the earlier ages when these kind of stories were written or they used to happen, that time cats, dogs, parrots, lovebirds, these were not the common kind of pet animals as they are today. So what farmer got for his son was a mongoose. It's a baby mongoose, said his wife, but will soon be fully grown. So wife said, okay, right now as you have got it, it's baby, but then soon it will be grown up. He will be a friend to our son. Both the baby and the mongoose grew. In 5 or 6 months, the mongoose had grown to its full size, because as you know, the lifespan of animals is not as much as it is for humans, and that is why they grow quickly as compared to humans. So that is why in just 5 or 6 months, it was a fully grown mongoose, a lovely animal with 2 shining black eyes and a bushy tail. The farmer's son was still a baby in the cradle, sleeping and crying alternately. So as I told you that humans grow little slower as compared to animals. So though the mongoose was a fully grown mongoose, but that baby was still a baby who used to sleep in cradle. One day the farmer's wife wanted to go to the market. So she fed the baby and rocked him to sleep in his little cradle. Picking up the basket, she said to her husband, I am off to bazaar. The baby is sleeping, keep an eye on him. So the mother went relaxed to the market because he thought that my husband is at home, so he will take care. As it is, she already fed the baby, so there was no good reason for her to be worried about, and that's how she instructed her husband and went off to the market. Frankly, I don't like to leave the child alone with the mongoose. You need not to be afraid, said the farmer. Now before leaving, the mother was like, why do I have to leave my baby with the mongoose, which I am not liking? But then the farmer said, please don't be afraid, you go, I am there. The mongoose is a friendly animal, it's as sweet as our baby, and they are the best friends, as you know. The wife went away. The farmer have nothing to do in the house. So what he did, he decided to go out and take a look at his fields, which were not actually far away. So he ran, but then accidentally he ran into some of his friends on the way back and didn't return for quite some time, because this is the habit of men. They are generally not very particular about the things. Actually, he did not take that point very seriously, wherein the mother has left the baby on my responsibility. So he left. He just thought, okay, let me go and have a look at my fields, and then he met some of his friends, and finally he couldn't come back home for a long time. The farmer's wife finished her shopping and came back to home with a basket full of groceries. She saw the mongoose sitting outside as if waiting for her. On seeing her, he ran to welcome her as was customary. So you know what happens, like we have a dog and we are off to the market, and when we come back the dog is so excited, you know, it will wag its tail and it will come at the gate to welcome us. So same were the reactions of the mongoose also. The farmer's wife took one look at the mongoose and screamed, "Blood!" So she was really scared that, oh my God, how come a blood? She cried. The face and the paws of the mongoose were smeared with blood. Smeared means they were all colored into blood, as if, you know, as if he has dipped into the blood. So that's how. "You wicked animal, you have killed my baby," she screamed hysterically. So without even thinking for a second, she just started screaming that you have killed my son. She was blind with rage. Rage means anger. And what she did was, like the basket which was full of groceries, she just, you know, banged all the groceries on the mongoose, on the blood smeared mongoose, and ran inside to the child's cradle. Now first, without thinking, she actually killed the mongoose, and then later she went inside to have a look at the child. The baby was fast asleep, but on the floor lay a black snake, torn and bleeding. In the flash, she realized that what had happened. She ran out looking for the mongoose. Now, I am sure that you must have understood that actually when nobody was at home, and since it was a village area where snakes are very common, so a snake must have entered the house, and in their fight between the mongoose and the snake, because these two are, you know, they are crucial enemies. They don't like to have a sight of each other. So I'm sure that when the mongoose saw the snake, what he did was, he must have attacked the snake to protect the baby, and in that process, while he was killing the snake, he was all smeared up with the blood. But when the mama entered, she thought that, okay, the mongoose has killed my child, and without even thinking for a second, she actually just hit the mongoose with that basket which was full of groceries. "Oh, you saved my child. You killed the snake. What have I done?" she cried, touching the mongoose, who lay dead and still, unaware of her sobbing. Now, a animal or a person who is died has nothing to do with your emotions. So here what is being told is, like the lady, she was sitting next to the mongoose and she was sobbing. Sobbing means crying bitterly, but then it was of no use, because that dead mongoose could now neither he can see anything nor he can feel anything. The farmer's wife, who had acted hastily and rashly, stared long at the dead mongoose. Then she heard the baby crying. Wiping her tears, she went in to feed him, because obviously she has to overcome her pain of losing that mongoose, because she has taken that action without thinking even for 1 second. And that's how we conclude this chapter. Again, I'll just repeat the lines that I started initially, that whenever you take any action, just think before you do, because once an action taken cannot be reverted. Thank you.
To watch the complete video, download the Upbind educational app from Play Store and App Store.